The complete work of Swami Vivekananda, video 51. 14. The unity in things is from the unity in changes. Though there are three substances, their changes being coordinated, all objects have their unity. 15. Since perception and desire vary with regard to the same object, mind and object are of different nature. That is, there is an objective world independent of our minds. This is a refutation of Buddhistic idealism. Since different people look at the same thing differently, it cannot be a mere imagination of any particular individual. There is an additional aphorism here in some editions. The object cannot be said to be dependent on a single mind. There being no proof of its existence, it would then become non-existent. If the perception of an object were the only criterion of its existence, then when the mind is absorbed in anything or is in samadhi, it would not be perceived by anybody and might as well be said to be non-existent. This is an undesirable conclusion. 16. Things are known or unknown to the mind, being dependent on the coloring which they give to the mind. 17. The states of the mind are always known because the Lord of the mind, the Purusha, is unchangeable. The whole gist of this theory is that the universe is both mental and material. Both of these are in a continuous state of flux. What is this book? It is a combination of molecules in constant change. One lot is going out and another coming in. It is a whirlpool, but what makes the unity? What makes it the same book? The changes and rhythmical in harmonious order, they are sending impression to my mind. And these pieced together make a continuous picture, although the parts are continuously changing. Mind itself is continuously changing. The mind and body are like two layers in the same substance, moving at different rates of speed. Relatively, one being slower and the other quicker. We can distinguish between the two options, between the two motions. For instance, a train is in motion and a carriage is moving alongside. It is possible to find the motion of both these to a certain extent, but still something else is necessary. Motion can only be perceived when there is something else which is not moving, but when two or three things are relatively moving, we first perceive the motion of the faster one and then that of the slower ones. How is the mind to perceive? It is also in a flux. Therefore, another thing is necessary which moves more slowly. Then you must get to something in which the motion is still slower, and so on, and you will find no end. Therefore, logic compels you to stop somewhere. You must complete the series by knowing something which never changes. Behind this never-ending chain of motion is the Purusha, the changeless, the colorless, the pure. All these impressions are merely reflected upon it, as a magic lantern throws images upon a screen, without in any way tarnishing it. 18. The mind is not self-luminous, being an object. Tremendous power is manifested everywhere in nature, but it is not self-luminous, not essentially intelligent. The Purusha alone is self-luminous and gives its light to everything. It is the power of the Purusha that is percolating through all matter and force. 19. From its being unable to cognize both at the same time. If the mind were self-luminous, it would be able to cognize itself and its objects at the same time, which it cannot. When it cognizes the object, it cannot reflect on itself. Therefore, the Purusha is self-luminous and the mind is not. 20. Another cognizing mind being assumed, there will be no end to such assumptions, and confusion of memory will be the result. Let us suppose there is another mind which cognizes the ordinary mind. Then there will have to be still another to cognize the former, and so there will be no end to it. It will result in confusion of memory. There will be no storehouse of memory. 21. The essence of knowledge, the Purusha, being unchangeable, when the mind takes its form, it becomes conscious. Patanjali says this to make it more clear that knowledge is not a quality of the Purusha. When the mind comes near the Purusha, it is reflected, as it were, upon the mind, and the mind for the time being becomes knowing and seems as if it were itself the Purusha.